Hello and welcome. I hope you enjoy watching my process. Today, I'm decorating from Beauty and the Beast. I'm starting off this mirror with a little bit of navy blue to make the reflective surface of the glass. I also decided to not outline this exactly because I'll be fixing any mistakes with the next round of flooding. This part doesn't need to be in yellow because I'll be covering it up in metallic gold, but I like to use similar colors as a little reminder to myself of what metallic paint I'll be using. For some reason, my camera keeps cutting off of me this week. As I record my videos, I'm usually able to catch when it happens, but this time I didn't stop myself in time. With a number 13 piping tip, I'm going to pipe the details of the mirror. First, I pipe the corners, so when I do the swirls on top, everything will look like one continuous line. Let's add some more dots along the handle. Yep, I like how that looks. I'm going to paint with gold luster dust to cover up all of the yellow, using 5 times distilled vodka, because it evaporates faster. I'm loving how this mirror is turning out. The gold makes everything look so fancy. Next, I'm starting the Beast stained glass rose. With just a little bit of navy blue, I get this lovely shade of blue for the glass. Yes, I did use my projector to trace the image onto the icing, so I have a general idea of where I'm gonna paint. Which I start with mixing the vodka with some navy blue, adding just enough so the color is one shade above my base. I'm using 2 different shades of green. The one that I'm using now is neon green, and for the other half, it's gonna be leaf green. Now here I was really upset with myself about what happened. First, that the shade I chose for the lightest red turned out to be too faint. Next, I didn't notice my camera turning off and not capturing me painting the main shade of red. Also, that the darkest shade of red wasn't dark enough and disappeared into the main red. Of course, I touched up the shades before moving on to the finishing touches. I'm first starting with the outline of the rose, making sure I don't miss any of the details, because the petals are so small. Then before I move away from this angle, I'm going to use circles for the top of the glass. Now I'm going to finish up the rose by outlining the stem and leaves. I love how pretty the stained glass design is turning out. Again, my camera cut off here. I wish I knew why I kept doing that. Anyways, I'm doubling up the side of the black lines because I made the icing tip a bit too small, so the lines are disappearing a little. Lastly, I'm going to record our main girl, Belle, which I start by using my projector to trace her out. As that dries, I'll also be outlining her dress. For character designs, I like to start off flooding any skin tone first. Once that part is dry, I'll finish her face. Plus, I'll use white for the eyes and lips. You'll see why I'm doing this later. Since I want the hair to look a little more realistic, I'll be flooding in sections, starting with the bottom and the inner parts of her hair. As that dries, I'm going to start filling out her eyes. And now you can tell what that white was for. It was for her teeth. I have to take into account how I want the hair to flow, so placement sometimes makes the difference in a design. Since parts of her hair is going to sweep around the rest, that's going to be one of the last parts I flood. As more of the bottom dries, I'll add more sections of her hair, and when I'm done with that half, I'll finish up the top part of the hair. I also have to place a bit of yellow on the cookie, so I didn't accidentally cover up her crown. I'm going to use piping tip number 13 for the ruffles, but I didn't like the first attempt I did. Here, I'm not piping all of the ruffle over, so her wrist doesn't have any weird lines when I flood. I'll be doing a basic outline and flood of her arms, while leaving the hands alone so I can freestyle their shape. I really have to stop doing certain details upside down, especially because I don't like how they look, as you can tell with how different the hand looks like in the next shot. For this one, I started off with one of her fingers, so that it would be somewhat dry by the time I finish her arm, so that I could add her other fingers right away. And there you have it, Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.